Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. I got a nice little suggestion here from my Discord server, as you can see. Again, if you want to leave a video idea, go make sure to drop it in my Discord server. You're going to get much more likely for me to actually make a video on a recommendation there than in my comments. But let's get into it. I don't think there's a video topic on this yet from Noah. Idea, which Master Duels are worth it / Exalted Duels? Do any of them drop gear that is worth farming for? Same with Gauntlets like Battle of the Bands, etc. That you can get in the crown shop for like 500 crowns. Alright, I thought that was a good idea. I actually don't think I've made a video on this before, which is really surprising. I don't know how I haven't, but I haven't. So I figured to make it today. I'm recording this late instead of really early. I figured that it would make more sense. You can see I just took a shower. No, my hair isn't naturally this greasy. I just took a shower. You know, some people think my hair's greasy. SMH. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, if you didn't know, you can come here and you can go to furniture in the crown shop, and you can see there are some duels here. There are the Battle of the Bands, Tanglewood Terror, and then the Master and Exalted Duels. There's also some Archmage duels as well. You can farm for most of these. I believe potentially all of them. I'm not sure about Battle of the Bands and Tanglewood Terror, but definitely you can farm for all of these from bosses throughout the spiral, so you don't need to buy them for 500 crowns. For example, For example, Rattlebones in Unicorn Way actually drops the Exalted Duels. So if you want to do Rattlebones Exalted, you can just farm for the 100 health that Rattlebones has and get Exalted Duels. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the one-shots over here. Master Duels, I'm just going to say this hands down, really aren't that worth it. If you get one and you're around level 40, maybe do it just to see if you get anything, but ultimately I would say it actually doesn't give anything. The Rattlebones specific ones drop really good robes, the Crocopatcha drop really good hats, and that's really it for these two. I wouldn't recommend doing the Masters, like don't buy them for 500 crowns, not worth it at all, but they can potentially drop things. They also drop things such as mounts and modes of transport, which you can use to craft mounts. You can actually see here, craft the whirlwind mounts. All it takes is a mote of transport and then a bunch of little reagents, some pretty easy to get reagents, and the ultra versions of the houseplants, which are gotten from the one-shot gauntlets as well. In regard to the other versions of the Meowiarty Rattlebones and Crocopatcha ones, the Archmage Meowiarty duel, not worth it really. There is no reason. Honestly, there's no reason to do any of the Meowiarty duels. They don't really drop anything that good. They do drop all of the ultra housing plants and the modes of transport if you want to get the mounts, but otherwise it's not really worth it at all because he doesn't drop any good gear whatsoever. In regard to the other Exalted Duels, Rattlebones Exalted Duel actually drops a good robe. I will go look at it right now. The Rattlebones drops a robe comparable to most Darkmoor robes. I would actually say the Darkmoor robes are a bit better, but you can see here it is comparable in stats. It actually has more damage and more resist, but it has half of the pip chance and almost half of the accuracy. Personally, I recommend using the Malastair gear because that extra accuracy, the extra power pip chance is really, really useful. So I don't think it's even really that worth it to use these, despite the extra damage it gives you and the extra resist. The Crocopatcha Exalted Duel actually drops a hat that is comparable to the Malastair hat. So at level 100, you could potentially go for it if you can't get the Malastair hat. I don't actually know if I have one anywhere here. I'm not entirely sure. I actually do. You can see here, decent stats. It gives more damage, more resist, more crit, but I believe the power pip is a little bit lower. But I would actually recommend the Crocopatcha hat over the Malastair hat sometimes. It's not really, there's no reason not to get it, but I wouldn't go out of your way to get it personally. It's not incredibly important if you have the Malastair hat, but otherwise, that's really it. In regard to the other two Exalted Duels, I think I already went over Meowiarty, not really worth it at all. And then the Zeus Exalted Duel finally also is not worth it at all. It doesn't drop really any good gear whatsoever, and the only reason why you would do it is for the modes of transport or the ultra plants. Now let's talk finally about the two others that I've neglected talking about up until this point, which is the Battle of the Bands one-shot gauntlet and the Tanglewood Terror. Both of them are fun little dungeons leveled up to your things, but I will say neither of them are worth doing. Neither of them drop good gear at all. The only reason why you would want to do either of these is for the mounts that they drop. I don't know if they're in the crown shop. I don't think they are, but they drop some decently cool mounts, some like tiger type mounts. I don't really remember exactly what they are, but they're pretty cool. And definitely might be worth it if you want the mounts, but otherwise they don't drop any form of gear worth getting. So ultimately, what's my review on these? Really, they're just a way for KingsIsle to make you spend 500 crowns on a one-shot gauntlet. I would definitely recommend, if you're going to do the Exalted Duels, make sure to farm them. Don't bother buying them for crowns. 500 crowns, that means you can only do 5 of these for $5, which isn't good at all. I mean, it may not seem too bad, but it definitely isn't really that worth it, especially for gear that isn't even good nowadays. The Malistaire robe is definitely still the better of the two robes compared to the Rattlebones ones. Personally, I remember I used the Rattlebones ones once upon a time, but I've kind of realized that the extra damage and resist just isn't worth it. It's just better to have the accuracy and have the power pip. Ultimately, I would say the only reason why you would go for the Rattlebones or Crocopatra Exalted Duels is if you are struggling to actually get the Malistaire gear. So for example, you've done 100 Darkmoor runs and you've decided, I just don't want to farm it anymore, and you haven't gotten the robe or hat, then sure, it's okay to go for the Exalted Duels, but I honestly wouldn't recommend it otherwise. They're really just not that worth it, especially when you get Dragoon gear at level 130 for the hat. It's just not really worth it to even farm for anything at that point. So that's really it for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Exalted Duels are worth it? Do you like them? Personally, I would say no, they aren't worth spending your 500 crowns on. They're just there for KingsIsle to get you to spend a bit of money, you know, some cheap change to get a little bit extra gear and stats that honestly isn't even that good. But that's it for today. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like at the sub button. Go join my Discord server in the description below if you want to leave more video ideas, and support me financially on Patreon if you wish to do so. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.